Yo, Counter Attack Podcast with myself, Daps. Guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that good stuff. You know how it goes. So, oh yeah, those of you who haven't seen the interview that I released earlier on this week with Olaina, go and check that out. Obviously, he scored a banger yesterday. You know, obviously, when I put my podcast out, that's when he decides to score a banger, making the algorithms work all in my favor. Come on. Now, all jokes aside, yeah, I should be back in Nigeria next week or the week after for the next internationals, and we're just gonna get more content, get more players for you. So if there's anyone on the national team who you want to see me have an interview with, bearing in mind I've got access to them all, then put it in the comments who you want me to have an interview with. Obviously, Ola's been, Alex Iwobi's been on, Victor Osimhen, Ekong, Boniface, whoever, just let me know. I might get Wilfred and Didi actually. I think that'll be a good one. But yeah, interesting weekend in the Premier League. Let's start with my team, Arsenal. Arsenal lost. To be honest, when I saw it was away to Newcastle, I weren't exactly thrilled with that. I think Arsenal, one thing that I don't like already when I'm seeing the starting lineup is that I'm seeing Partey right back. Partey does okay filling in that right back, but he's not a right back. And I understand there may be injuries or whatnot, but I'd much rather you put maybe like Timber there, start off with Zinchenko, even Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back, and play Partey in midfield. Because when you put him right back, he did okay against Liverpool last week. He did well against Liverpool last week, but he's just not a right back. And you know, it's not even that he did bad in right back yesterday, because he didn't, but he just looked so much better with him in the midfield. And I think Arsenal are at a point now where it's like we need that creativity. And if Odegaard ain't fit, you have to start the young boy, Nwaneri, because when I'm looking at Arsenal today, Newcastle were not great. They were not great at all. They literally came to stifle anything Arsenal did. So, and in doing that, they got their goal, which was a very good header from Isak, by the way, who I think Arsenal should actually buy. But I do believe that if Arsenal had raised their game by 10-15%, we could have got a goal 100% or at least drawn. Because what's happening now is that midfield with Marino, Rice, and who was in midfield this year? Marino, Rice, and Trossard there's no real creativity in there, innit? And it's just a bit too, it's not fluid. So, and obviously, it's funny because those people who say that Arsenal don't miss Odegaard, I think it's clear to see what Odegaard brings. The problem is that once these players get injured, and it will happen when these players get injured, you know, it's okay to cope without them for like a game or two, but when it's longer than that, you need someone to come in and affect the game if it can't be the exact same way, then at least close to it, or in a way where, you know, we don't lose our edge. But right now, Arsenal don't have any edge. You know, I'm looking at Martinelli. He had a run of like 2-3 games, you know, not too long ago, where he was looking alright, getting a couple of assists, getting a couple of goals. And I was like, okay, we got someone, his confidence should come back. But it's not looking like it, man. It's not looking like it. And I just think he just needs to just hold bench. Do you get what I'm saying? Because that first half, it would, to be honest, I say Trossard should have gone there, but I believe Trossard in that first half especially was even worse. The difference with Trossard is that Trossard's got that thing about him where he can have an absolute horrid game, but do something. So, yeah, there was that. Once Partey went in midfield, Arsenal just looked stronger automatically. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I think what we're seeing is that they would double, triple team up against Saka, knowing that that's the only threat, and outside of that, no one else is really creating. So that's why I say it would be nice to see Nwaneri. And I'm one of those that's like, young players should get some games, but then come out. It's not always rush, but I think it's at the point where it's not even rushing him anymore. When he comes on, he impacts the game. We saw in League Cup, you know, that he gets the goal. Play him. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it couldn't be any worse than what we saw yesterday. And Arsenal are just in a rut right now, you know, conceding goals. We're not looking as solid as we normally are. And there's just too much chopping and changing. What I don't like, though, in terms of Arsenal losing, what I don't like, what I don't like with Arsenal losing is that anytime they lose, other teams, when their team loses, they can have a bit of a moan and be like, yeah. Arsenal is total meltdown. I'm seeing people say Arteta needs to go. I saw someone saying Rice needs to be out of the team. It's always such a meltdown. I don't believe Arteta needs to go. I think people are so quick to like change, he needs to change the manager. He does need to be held accountable, but I don't think we're at the point now where it's like he needs to go. I think people look at the table and just think, we're out of the title race, that's it, done. And, there's still a long way to go. I think if City had won yesterday, and we will come to that game, if City had won yesterday, I would have been like, this is looking a bit... But the gap that is there with Liverpool, I'm confident that we can bridge that gap, more so because Liverpool will drop points, more so than Man City. So yeah, I just don't like the whole meltdown, outrage culture that there is. Arteta has to go. Like, come on. I don't think they should sack him. And look, let's just calm down. 5, 6, 7 points behind isn't a cause to like sack a manager. It's actually ridiculous when you think about it. So everyone just needs to calm down. If it gets to the end of the season and he's underperformed, then we can have a conversation. Do you get what I'm saying? But Arsenal are in 4 competitions right now. Yes, you want them to be performing better in the league, but you can't win everything. And I just think this whole Arteta needs to go thing is it's a bit too premature. I'm not saying he's being great or whatever, but what, you think you're going to go sack a manager like Arteta now and then get whoever in and they're just going to turn around and win the league? It doesn't work like that. Come on. Like, I just don't like that meltdown culture. But yeah, Newcastle won. Arsenal need to suck it up. They got lucky because Man City, as I mentioned, dropped points. And it's interesting because, we talk about injuries and, they've obviously got De Bruyne out. They've got Rodri out as well. Ruben Diaz was out yesterday. They had injuries and it affected them yesterday because, I say they couldn't create, but they didn't really, up until like the final 15 minutes from what I saw, they weren't really a threat. Do you get what I'm saying? And I say that, but then Haaland had that chance right at the end. And if that goes in, it's like, okay, yeah, it's just normal. But, credit to Bournemouth, man. Bournemouth they're a good team. And let me just say, Semenyo, you see that touch from Semenyo, yeah? I don't think people are realising just how good of a first touch that was. Like, he's fully going in one direction, traps the ball, turns around and hits it in the net. It was just such a proper finish. Yeah. And I just think that more people should look at that goal and be like, yeah, that is a sick finish. So, and you know what? He deserves it. He's been on form this season. He's always a threat. He's always impacting games. And if he keeps going, there's going to be a move for him. Maybe not to like a top 4 team, but, a move to a team step up, a team that's a step up from Bournemouth. And that's no disrespect to Bournemouth. So big him up, man. Liverpool, man. Listen, I was watching that game, that Liverpool game. And one thing about Liverpool is that they always give you a chance. And Liverpool are reminding me of last year where they weren't amazing, but they did enough to just stay in it. And last year, we got to the final, 5, 6 games before Liverpool dropped off, but they stayed there throughout the whole season without really playing great. And I'm seeing more of that this season. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing Liverpool, Brighton, first half should have been 2-3 goals up, but they go in 1-0 and Liverpool come out second half. They obviously get 2 goals in that 2 minutes at one point, but they weren't great at all. There were a lot of players who were, I believe, below par. I felt Gravenberch yesterday weren't the Gravenberch we've seen. So Bosley, who's having a tough time right now, he wasn't really great. Konate went off injured, so that was another thing that happened. He went off at half time. But there's just so many things. And this is why I say, Liverpool will drop points because there's only so long you can get away with that in the Premier League. On another day, they lose yesterday. But obviously, they had Cody Gakpo first goal, cool. But Salah, Salah is Salah. Salah does that all day long. And the moment Estupinan showed him his left foot, showed him onto his left, I knew what was going on. Like with them ones, you've got to show. I know it's easier said than done, but you've got to just do everything you can to just show him down the line, show him onto his right foot. But he cuts in and he goes and does that, and yeah, from there, Brighton didn't really create anything after that. You know, when they were on top, that's when they should have had their. That's when they should have got their goal. But you know, Arne Slot, man, he says judge him by the end of November, but you have to judge him by what he's doing now. And I put out a clip the other day, and I said it on the pod the other day that he's just cracking along with his team. Like he's inherited a good team, and he's not changing too much. But you can see that little by little, he's starting to do small things. So, you know, I think when I saw how often he took off Trent, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, he maybe just wants to show Trent that he's not 90 minutes every game. You know, there are other options. Same with Robertson. Tsimikas is playing. Robertson hasn't looked the same. He's saying that Robertson needs to, you know, learn how to play with his system, with this new Liverpool system. So, you know, it's just interesting. I think this is going to be a very, very good league season. I think Arsenal will claw it back. I'm not too bothered about that. They need to sort it out though, because before you know it, in this Premier League, two games goes by and you're not picking up results. So, yeah, I think City are going to be City and Liverpool are going to stay there as well. But then you've also got to think about that to Chelsea's, and you know, Tottenham obviously won today against Aston Villa, and even Nottingham Forest are there, man, and big up Nottingham Forest, and they did it without Morgan Gibbs-White as well. You know, Chris Wood. You know what? Let me say this about Chris Wood. Chris Wood for me is one of those strikers who he's a confirmed Premier League striker. He's not going to get you 30 goals in a year. He might get you a one-off season, and this might be the season where he hits 20. It might be, but you're not expecting that from him every year. But just know that with him, you've got a guy that knows how the league is, knows what is expected of him, and just knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. And, you know, he's not pleasing on the eye. He's not aesthetically pleasing. He's not the one you look at and think, oh, yeah. But he does exactly what it says on the tin. And he reminds me of like and this ain't a disrespect to the person that I'm actually going to name, because I think Chris Wood would love to have had a career in the Premier League like him. But he reminds me of like a Kevin Phillips. In fact, no. Yeah, but not so much in terms of talent and, you know, ability, but just in terms of does what it says on the tin. He's never going to get that top 4 big move, but he's a bagsman. And, you know, for them mid-table teams, those are the sort of strikers that they need and want, and he's doing the job, so big him up. Ola, I released the podcast with Ola this week, like I said, and then he goes and scores that banger, and it's good for him, man, because I think he's probably, in terms of this season, Ola's been one of the most consistent fullbacks in the league. I think if he was playing for a higher team or better team, no disrespect to Nottingham Forest, I think people will talk about Ola very differently. And do you know what? He's looking more and more he's looking more and more comfortable at Premier League level. And what I also would say about him is that I honestly believe he can go on and play for a better team. He's that good. Do you get what I'm saying? Left foot, right foot, he's comfortable. He's a good character to have around, as you can see from his like social media. But in terms of football, he's literally just pushing on, and he's showing what, you know, getting your head down, working hard, getting regular football can do. And I'll be very surprised if a team doesn't come in for Ola if he continues this form, man. So big him up. Who else or what else is going on? Man United got a new manager. Do you know what? I'm a bit surprised that Man United didn't like give Van Nistelrooy the job, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those that thought Ruud Van Nistelrooy, he's coming in from a manager job to be a number 2 to Ten Hag. He probably knows that Ten Hag won't last. So I was just thinking a natural thing would be to bring him in, but you know, they've gone for this new manager, and I'm not sure what's going to happen, because obviously I don't know if that new manager is going to bring in his own coaching staff. Is Ruud Van Nistelrooy still going to be a number 2? But, you know, they beat Leicester, 5-2 during the week. He got a draw against Chelsea today. United looked better, even though today wasn't a great game. And, he at least deserves a chance, I reckon. But it wasn't to be. I'm surprised they gave him the job. But even on today's game, like I said, it wasn't a great game. I've spoken about Martinez before. I'm going to mention this again. Every game, Martinez has that mad challenge in him. And he did it again today. And he just needs to cut that out. It's annoying. Caicedo, man. I think Caicedo is benefiting from another year's experience under his belt, because even when they bought him, when Chelsea bought Caicedo for 100 mil, he hadn't even played, 30 top flight games? I don't think he'd even played 30 top flight games. And then you're buying someone for that amount of money who is still learning on the job. He's learning on the job in a Chelsea team that has no experience. So who's he really learning from? And, I think sometimes you just need to let these players develop and get the game. So, yes, it started off rocky. And I was there. I criticised him when it was rocky. But I always did say that in time, you can see he will be a good player. And I think he's slowly maturing into that. I think playing in a Chelsea team that looks like it's settled now helps. Lavia coming in has definitely helped him, because Lavia is... I actually prefer Lavia to Caicedo. Let me just say that. Caicedo, whatever his name is. But I think Lavia he's more calming, and he takes the weight off of Caicedo, and which means Caicedo can just go and do what he needs to do. He can break up play. He doesn't really need to be the facilitator as well. He doesn't need to be the creativity. I mean, the creative one as well. Because when Enzo's in there, I feel like Caicedo has to do twice as much work. So, but yeah, he's playing well, man, and I'm happy for him, man. And let me talk about Ugarte. You see what? This is what I mean. Like, when you watch players, yeah, and some might say he just needs game time. Cool, but I'm looking at Ugarte, and I feel like, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. Let me wait till he gets more games under his belt, because I'm not convinced. This is the player that they were really, really wanting, but I'm not convinced by him. But we'll see. Let's see what else there is. Who else played? I might even release this tonight, as in Sunday night. Villa got battered. Listen, Villa. Anyway, they're still in the cups, so it wouldn't surprise me if they mess up in the Premier League, but then go far in the Champions League. It just wouldn't surprise me, because of the manager, who he is. But Tottenham looked good today, especially in that second half. Slanky, 2 goals. That finished though, the little dink. So sick. Let's see who else. Ipswich, Leicester. Ipswich can just not buy a win, honestly, man. And they play well, man. They play good football, but they just cannot buy a win. Liverpool, Brighton, Nottingham Forest mentioned. Southampton finally got their win. Big up Adam Armstrong, and Adam Armstrong's friend of the podcast. He's been on the podcast a couple times. Well, no, he's been on it once. Or is it twice? He's been on it, but big up Adam Armstrong. He is a goal scorer. I think if you give him games in his correct position, like I remember last year I called it that he was going to be one of the top goal scorers in the Championship, and he was. I think if you play Adam Armstrong in his right position and give him a run of games and give him the trust, I do believe that Southampton have a player there who will get them goals. And, they're looking to other people in that position, and, it's the manager's choice. But I honestly believe if you play Adam Armstrong there, he is literally goals. So, big up Adam Armstrong. And, I think that's it from me today, guys. But get in the comments, man. Remember, let me know who you want me to get on the podcast. Let me know what players, achievable players, you want me to get on the podcast, and I'll do it. Also, for those of you that want to hear more about Nigerian players in the current squad, let me know. I'm going to be out there in a couple of weeks, and we can, get them interviewed. And outside of that, just drop anything in the comments, and I'll just try to discuss it. But yeah, that's it from me. I'm out.